are watching T Radio V, radio in TV.
Hello and welcome to the Street Angel Show here in the heart of Hollywood at tradiov.com. And this is my very last show for my first season. Yay! Thank you for everybody who has watched even just one of my shows. I'm so excited that you did. I hope that if I have another season, that you'll tune in and watch some more. My name is Mandolin Reese, in case you haven't seen me before. If this is your first time watching the show, I'm known as the Street Angel or the LA Street Angel. I wear angel wings and I have posters that I go around with all over the country at this point, and I promote kindness and positive messages. So that's kind of been my mission and higher calling that I've been doing, because there's like a lot of violence and bullying going on, and so I just try to combat that in my own peaceful way. So today's topic is motivational speakers, well, technically it's me and a guest. We were going to have another one, but it didn't work out. So, you just got to go with the flow, which is, I was going to be reading a quote about that pretty soon with Bruce Lee. But first, the purpose of the show is to help others. So we're going to be sharing a lot of cool information and stories today, hopefully that will enlighten you and inspire you, motivate you. So without further ado, I'm going to just go ahead and introduce the guest for today. We have Devondrick Johnson.
Yeah. What's up? How you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm good.
We got Bruce Lee behind him, because I went on his website and I checked, and he says he's a fan of Bruce Lee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you do martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, we happen to have a Bruce Lee picture in the studio. So I was like, we're putting it up. So
nice.
Yesterday was kind of a kick-ass day for me in a bad way, I would say. So, like, this is kind of good timing for, being strong and, like, sharing motivational messages and having courage to get through hard stuff. So, I'm going to share a little quote with the Bruce Lee that I looked up right before Devondrick got here. We're both fans.
Yes.
So, this is what Bruce Lee says about water. You must be shapeless, formless, like water. When you pour water in a cup, it becomes the cup. When you pour water in a bottle, it becomes the bottle. When you pour water in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Water can drip and it can crash. Become like water, my friend. So it's basically saying be flexible with life, but be strong and, do what you got to do to one day at a time, right?
Absolutely. Bruce is my idol ever since I was a kid. I came from a very hard background, and back then, I always saw some Bruce Lee stuff, but I never knew who he was, and I really didn't get into any martial arts until I was out of high school and in college, and then that's when I kind of found my other passion, and I started studying Bruce, and I'm like, wow, Bruce is all about like doing the right thing, and he's real passionate, and he has his soul is above and beyond just the physical from his martial arts. So that's kind of like my motto also.
He has a lot of strength and agility, and that's something you need in life, which you can share, with everybody. So when I first met you, and we have some pictures of that, of he and I on a red carpet. We just met, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
A week and a half?
No, it was like, I think it was
recent.
It was recent. It was probably about 3 weeks ago, actually.
Was it that long?
Yeah.
I can't know. But anyway, here we go. So it was a birthday party at Bugatti, red carpet thing. And anyway, the first thing you said to me was, well, I grew up homeless and a gangster or something, but you changed your life around and you became a motivational speaker. And I was like floored. I was like, wow, you have a lot of, courage to come out and just tell me that. And so, I want to hear your backstory.
Okay.
What happened to you, and then what led you to become the motivational speaker to share your story?
Well, let's see. In all honesty, that's how I normally try to start out a lot of conversations with people. I'm like, hey, because they see me, they would never imagine that I went through something like that. So I kind of let them know, hey, this is where I'm from. So what you see is more than what you get. Okay. So, well, when I was young, I was very, very, very poor. At one time, we lived in a a shack, a 4x4 storage shed, in which I call the shack. No running water, gas, electricity. I lived with 2 aunts. One became severely depressed and had a nervous breakdown when her husband died. You know, he was like our patriarch of the family and took care of the family. And when he died, everything kind of went to the wazoo. We moved from Dallas out to the country, which is like East Texas.
So you had the shack was in Dallas?
No.
Oh.
The shack was in East Texas.
East Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's hard to imagine living in that kind of conditions.
Yeah.
Okay. So you moved?
Yeah, so when we moved out there, we lived great. And then when he had a tragic heart attack, that's kind of when everything went bad. We lost our home.
From bad to worse.
Oh, no. It was good. And
It
then
was okay.
when we moved out there, it was good. And then when he died, that's when everything went to worse.
Okay.
And so that's worse. It gets even worse than that.
Okay.
So when I was born in wedlock. Out of wedlock, I'm sorry. My mom, I was born in prison. My mom was unfortunately, she was a drug addict, and my dad was a pimp. Never met him. He actually called me once when I think I was in college, and I told him, hey, if this is the real guy, then please don't let me see you because it won't be a pretty sight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She died, unfortunately, of drugs.
Your mother?
Yeah, she died, unfortunately, of drugs and stuff like that. So I lived with these 2 aunts, and the 2 aunts, they were old, and they just really couldn't take care of me and my younger brother. And so we lived in really dilapidated conditions. She became a pack rat, and the land she owned started getting filled with old cars and junks and different
Like a
type of trash.
hoarder?
Yeah, she was a severe hoarder. Like if you've seen the show A&E,
Right.
yeah, you can just imagine the worst episode. That's
Right.
exactly how we lived. And so I lived like that from the age of 5 until 13. But during that time, about the age of 8 or 9, I started playing school sports.
Mm-hmm.
I started playing school sports. We couldn't afford like Little League, anything like that. So I never could play any sports. And I was always an outcast. You know, I lived out in the country. I was a smart kid. And everybody was always like, oh, there's the dirty smart kid, you know. Unfortunately, that's where it was. Yeah, so when I started playing sports, I started getting friends, and I was like a natural athlete. And I remember in the 5th grade on the basketball team, I met this guy, Jimmy, who was my best friend. I started hanging out with him, and I started staying at his house because I lived way out in the country. I lived about 10 miles out in the country, and I remember I walked it at least 15, 20 times, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. So I couldn't, because like I rode the school bus into town to go to school, and then when the school was over, I'd ride it out. But if I had practice, I couldn't take it out. I mean, you're from Texas, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I started staying at his house, he was kind of his mom was a great mom, but she was a single parent, and she left him at home alone at night. And so what we did, we ran the streets. You know, we had no supervision. Yeah, we started running the streets, and this is
And you may not have the best peers when you're in that situation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started hanging out with some street kids, and since I had already had like kind of a hard upbringing, they were attracted to me. I wasn't afraid of anything. We got involved into some more street life and got involved to some gang stuff, and I got jumped into a gang and was official gang member at the time till I was 13. And if you can think about what all,
You're just a kid.
I know, man. I was just trying to find friends, trying to find people to like me, fit in. That's it. And I always tell people, you know, people are always like, what was it like being in a gang? I was like, well, it's like being amongst your friends. You do whatever, but the difference between what I was doing was like before I was, so during the time when I was staying with Jimmy, his mom wouldn't always let me stay at the house. And so I would have to find somewhere to lay my head down and go back to school the next day. And so that's when I became very, very streetwise and finding places to, you know, sleep and survive. I would get up and go to school the next day, take a shower in the gymnasium, and go on about my business. And I just became very good at it. And I knew how to get food and get clothing and, you know, all types of stuff that you can learn when you're like in necessity.
Right.
So fast forward, when I was in the 7th grade, I met Sterling. Now Sterling's my brother, and we have an organization called Brothers by Choice.
So he's not a blood brother?
No.
But-
I'm adopted through his family.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So
this
he's
is-
like
Can you
a
see it?
brother through adoption,
Mhm.
kind of. I was wondering why you looked so different.
Yeah, so he's he's like 6'7", and
So you
300
two,
some pounds. He used to play for the Cleveland Browns and stuff like that. So yeah, he's a big guy.
So
really
y'all
big
are
guy.
brothers,
Mhm.
and I know you founded a nonprofit, but
Mhm.
how did that come about?
Okay, so that's what I was gonna get to. So I met Sterling in the 7th grade, and he played football. Now Sterling wasn't the type of guy he is now. He was kind of really soft and soft spoken. He was also not really driven or motivated. And when he met me, he helped me, and I helped him. So I met him on my football team.
Balanced each other out.
Yeah.
kinda.
And he wasn't a straight A student. I was always a straight A student. He became a straight A student. So in the 7th grade when we met, he asked if I wanted to come live with him.
Okay.
And at the time
Wow.
he didn't know that I was like living on the streets and stuff like that, because I was a master manipulator, and I was good at like
Hiding it.
hiding what I was doing.
Were you
know.
ashamed of it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
it was a secret. Okay.
So
then he asked you to live with him,
Mhm,
and
so-
how'd that go?
Oh, well, it started off rough,
Fitting into a new environment,
new family,
New family,
environment,
new
everything, and it's just.
adjusting.
And my dad, he's a military guy, so
the adopted father.
Mhm.
Okay.
military. And if anybody knows anything about military, they can be brash and harsh and
Right.
straight
Drill sergeant.
drill sergeant. And I was like, whoa, man. So we had like we got into like an array of arguments and just downright, fights.
Right.
Not physical, because obviously
During
I'm a
the
kid.
adjustment period.
Mhm.
So then it settled out, and you got along.
Yeah, so it settled out, and so me and Sterling went on to be like All-Americans in like football.
Wow.
We both graduated from our high school. I graduated top 5% of my class, National Honor Society. I was like
Amazing.
student body president, all
I
that
was
stuff.
top 10%.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I got a football scholarship to SMU, and so did he. So we both went to SMU and played football together.
What's SMU's?
Southern Methodist University.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's in Dallas. It's the Mustangs. Go Mustangs.
Nice.
Yeah.
So did you
yeah.
go all the way through college? And
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
on
I have an
scholarship.
econ and finance degree.
What a blessing.
Yeah. And so after we graduated school, he went on to play for the NFL. I got hurt when I was in college. I had post-concussion syndrome, so I went into the entertainment field, and he went on to play like in the NFL. And we decided that we wanted to. Actually, my mom, she had always told us that we were gonna like be speaking about our story, and we're like, yeah, whatever, mom. Blah 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 blah.
She had the presight.
Yeah,
that
she had the
you were
presight.
doing this.
So my stepdad, the first time we spoke, he's been superintendent for about 30 years, and he's like, hey, I want you two come tell your story at our teacher in service.
He just threw you into it.
Yeah, just doing it into it. He's like, and we were like, okay. So
Were
the
you
first,
nervous?
Yeah, I was very nervous because it was the first time I ever told my
Right.
story to
Right.
people. So
Was it well received?
it was better than well received. Everybody was crying. It was about 200, 300 students and faculty. I mean, not students, but teachers and faculty, and everybody in the house was not. There was no dry in the house.
Well, props to you.
Yeah,
for
I know.
having
So
the
that's-
bravery to do that.
I know it was hard. I was. I remember the day after I did it, man. I couldn't even like get out of bed because I was so emotionally like.
Well, it takes
drunk.
a lot of energy. You know,
Mhm.
in fact, this is totally a side note, but when I'm done producing this talk show, it's like I'm wiped out. Like
Yeah.
I expend a lot of energy,
Mhm.
and so I have to go home and take a nap.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if I'm able to, sometimes I have things I got to do and I can't, but I'm just like running on steam.
Yeah.
But I totally get it. Like,
yeah.
so yeah, you founded this. When we have a flash of the website,
Okay.
Brothers by Choice.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
So, and I love your little hero starts with heart, and you
Mhm.
have the heart, empowerment, respect, opportunity. That's really clever.
Mhm.
And you want to expand on that a little?
Yeah, sure. So hero is anybody.
Be
It
a
ca-
hero.
Yeah, you can be a hero doing anything, and you don't have to be a all-star athlete or a musician or anybody that's famous. All you can be is a kid that was 13 years old, and he's my hero, and I'm his hero. And that's how we came up with the acronym HERO: Heart, Empowerment, Respect, and Opportunity. And so when we speak, we go out and we tell everybody, especially the kids, like, you need to find somebody that's going to be a positive influence for you so they can be your hero, and vice
Someone
versa.
to look up to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Emulate the good things about them in a way.
Mhm.
If anything, just like Bruce Lee and his quotes, just something to think upon during a rough patch. Like,
Yeah.
In fact, I was going to get to that in the second half of the show, actually. Like, when you go through hard time, like, go through some motivational material.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what got you through the hard times? Did you have anything that, like, did you pray? Did you believe any of that? Did you read motivational stuff? Like, can you recall anything?
Well, I'm very religious. I mean, if you're from Texas, you've kind of been raised in
Yeah.
the church. So I've being out in L.A. You got
Church and guns.
yeah, church and guns, baby, hunters, yeah,
Totally. Okay.
So yeah, so I still pray. You know, I still do all those good things. But the thing that made me escape my own personal reality was reading. In the 5th grade, I read my first book. It was about 300 pages, called A Wrinkle in Time. And it was about just going off in space and imagining a different type of lifestyle. And then I've read The Alchemist. And
I love that book.
You know, so these books. So I'm an avid reader. So these books are what took my imagination from where I was, saying, "Hey, there's other stuff out there. What can I do to get myself away from my reality?" And so that's what I did. And then obviously, of course, the physical stuff. That's why I do like martial arts now, because I'm a physical person. Football was my way of like getting out my anger and getting out my physical aggression.
Yeah.
And then when I got hurt, that was kind of taken from me, and that's when I started like
shift to something else.
Yeah, shifting into martial arts.
Okay.
And the difference is in the martial arts that it's more spiritual than physical. I mean, there's the physical aspect. Yeah, absolutely. There's a physical aspect of it, but you need to understand your body. You need to understand.
They talk about chi, right?
Yeah, your chi.
Like moving the chi energy
Mm-hmm.
and having it work with you.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that, you know, moving your chi around is kind of a key to really optimal health.
Yeah, it is.
We have some pictures of you looking in optimal health here.
Uh-oh.
I know you do some modeling.
Oh, yeah. I dabbed in that for a little bit.
Just a little bit. But you're
bit.
very active and healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's important to you.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Yeah, and that's you doing a speech?
Yeah.
Where was that?
Oh, that was actually my TED Talk. I have a TED Talk, and I spoke at for SMU as one of the representatives in Texas. So
Wow.
yeah.
Was that a big crowd?
Oh yeah, it was about 5,000 people.
5,000 people?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't even fathom like doing that. Like I've done a motivational speech, but it was kind of a crowd of like 15.
Yeah.
So, but that was my first time. At least I like put it together and did it.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool, you know.
Well, there's one thing about being on stage. Like when you're on stage, it's kind of like what I learned over the time is like you're speaking to people instead of just speaking to the crowd. You look at somebody and you tell them your story, and then and then you can look in their eyes and you can like they can understand what you're going through. Like every speech that I've ever done has always been different.
Right.
Yeah, it's never like obviously I have my written out speech, of course.
You never know where it'll actually.
Yeah, I don't know where to actually go. Sometimes I'm angry, sometimes I'm sad, sometimes I'm just upset, and sometimes I'm happy that I'm not in that situation anymore.
Right.
It just
Well,
I just let it like ride the wave, and that's what makes it so
Exactly.
great.
Well, you never know what life is going to do to you. You can prepare, and have all these notes, but then maybe the day of, stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like for me, yesterday, like
Uh-oh.
life just knocked me on my ass, and I was like, and I'm supposed to get ready for this show, and I was like, I really want to prep, but I can barely like think straight right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get into that later. But you look like you are very successful now. Like I looked at your website, I was very impressed with it. It's very well put together. You do a lot of things, which I think is so cool. You're very spherical in the way you live in all these different directions, and you're good at it. So what would you say is like your definition of success?
Definition of success, I definitely don't think it's money driven. A lot of people always want to define success as how much money you have or how many like items,
Material possessions
you have. I think the definition of success is just perseverance in life, because it doesn't matter where you are in life, you still got to keep going, and that's a success. I mean, you can give up or you can keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other motivational messages? We got about 1 more minute till we go to commercial.
Okay, so one of the things that I normally say at my speech, when I end my speech, is like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, no matter how dark the tunnel is. Basically saying that even though you're in a dark time, if you keep going, there's gonna be some light there. You just got to keep pushing yourself, and there's gonna be someone to help you, but you can't be too afraid to ask for help.
Right, and that's something going on with my family. Is like, sometimes you're frustrated with someone because you want to help them so much, but they have to choose for
gotta choose it.
themselves. Like there's all these things, people and agencies there to help, but people have to make that choice, and usually they're so bogged down with fear.
Yeah.
They can't even like think straight, but they can and you got to encourage them to at least look at those other options. So real quick though, what is your poster?
Oh, okay.
Your class?
Yeah, so I'm really big into fitness and martial arts. So I kind of
Pull it a little closer to your shoulder. There you go.
There we go. There we
All
go. So I've combined the two. It's called HIT Kung Fu. It's like high intensity interval training Kung Fu. It's based on Jeet Kune Do, which is Bruce Lee's art, which I do teach.
And you teach it where?
I teach it at Equinox, 24-hour fitness, some places, some locations down by the beach,
So
Runyon Canyon, not open anymore. But
how can people find you if they want to contact you to do these things?
Oh, they can find me on my website. They can go to my website. It's www.devonrickjohnson.com,
Okay.
and they'll have like my events and if they wanted to get in contact for training or anything like that.
Okay.
Speaking, all that good stuff.
I love that quote on your page. Perseverance equals success.
Yeah.
Yeah, like indomitable will. We also had a picture of you with that quote. It says,
I have so many quotes. I love them.
Yeah, you have some good ones. What was the one about indomitable will to go on? Or
Oh, well, basically it just says
there
like,
it is.
There
Strength does not come from physical capacity.
Yeah.
It comes from an indomitable will. That's
Gandhi.
from Gandhi.
Yeah.
Gandhi's good.
Yeah, Gandhi's real good.
Cool. Okay. Well, I think we gotta shoot to commercial for a bit, but when we come back, we're gonna continue talking more about motivational stuff. So stay with us, 'cause we got some cool stuff we're gonna be talking about. Cool. All right.
You are watching T Radio V, radio in TV.
Hello and welcome back to the Street Angel Show here in Hollywood on TRadioV.com. We're talking about motivational speaking stuff. We were talking with guest Devon Rick Johnson. And so this segment, I wanted to kind of wrap up my whole season. You know, again, I was going to say thank you, audience, for watching the Street Angel Show. I hope it made a positive impact on your life. If you'd like to help me sponsor another season, I'm hoping I can start June or July. I haven't talked with them about the contract yet, but we'll see how that goes. But I do have some ideas for new guests. So something I wanted to just kind of throw out some random motivational stuff because they are things that have helped me. And I've been kind of doing it throughout my other shows, but, you know, I have some new stuff this time. So one thing I wanted to just randomly start with was I got this new, like, deck called True Love Reading Cards. And something about cards, a lot of people in Texas seem to have a resistance to this stuff. But, I mean, not all cards are, like, bad. You know, they can really help you with empowerment and stuff, which is what this deck's about. It's not about religion, and it's just, like, motivational stuff to read for your own soul, to, like, fill up with, you know, energy.
Yeah, I sometimes look at my own, like, horoscopes.
Well, this isn't like horoscope. This is just, and you'll see when I tell you, but I asked the deck if there was one card in this whole deck that could apply to everybody who's listening today, what would that be? And guess I pulled the self-respect card. And it has a really profound message, and it says, there is no need to compromise your self-respect for love or security. So it has some really deep stuff to it. It says, like, the key, or self-respect is the key to how other people perceive and treat you. So something that I've always been learning to tell myself is what you will allow will continue and usually get worse. And, you know, a sad example is, like, domestic violence, right?
Okay.
So I was kind of telling you some personal stuff on the break, which was hard for me. And I had to, like, get back to center. But basically it's something going on in my family right now that I've been dealing with. And so it's like, you know, what you allow with somebody you're in a relationship with, like, let's say you're with a guy who beats on you or something like that. when you allow it, it only progresses and gets worse and worse and worse. And that's been proven through all kinds of situations. And that's why there's all the, help outlets out there for this. But you have to choose to get out of it, choose to change, choose to escape it. And there's a lot of help for you for when you make that decision. But some more about it says, at times it's tempting to compromise your self-respect for security or survival. As a short-term measure, this may be necessary while you get your life in order. But as a long-term measure, this is unhealthy for you and your heart and soul. Living a fulfilling life is not about being perfect. It's about acknowledging what is and choosing a healthier course of action from now on. Your angels, spirit guides, and the entire universe are standing by to help. Ask for their help and act on their guidance and the urging of your own intuition, gut, and heart. So, it starts with heart, right? What's in your heart? What are you being guided to do for the highest purpose of your soul? The answers are there, and meditation's a really good way. Literally just sitting on your butt and closing your eyes, and that's all you got to do to meditate.
Yeah, but a lot of people make meditation harder than what it is.
Seriously.
Yeah,
I like to put in earplugs because there's always external noises and crap going on and distractions. So it's like I like to put in earplugs so at least I can try to focus on the own crap in my mind. But, doing some other things like chanting or like humming or any little things can
I do like
down.
like when I want to meditate, I do like it's called a simultal. It's like our opening.
Say that a little slower.
Simultal.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it's like the opening for Wing Chun. So
Okay.
how you do like your stance, but I just keep repetitively doing it, and it kind of gives me like an active meditation.
Yeah, there's all different ways. In fact, a friend of mine posted on Facebook, I'm doing like a walking meditation today. You can kind of meditate when you're doing anything, if you think about it. Like sometimes when I'm doing healing work on clients, I will do kind of a meditative thing. I'll be kind of in my own zone and doing my own kind of meditation in my mind while I like do my Reiki and stuff. So that's pretty cool. So I touched on it briefly in the first segment, but like when you're feeling down or you hit a rough patch in life or, shit hits the fan, excuse my language, but that's kind of what can happen sometimes, right? We're all human. We all have random things in life where life just comes along and is like, hey, everything's going good. We're pulling the rug out from under you now. So it's like when that happens, turn to some motivational material that can, if anything, it just can help you to feel better. Because sometimes if you can just get through a really difficult day to where you get in bed and go to sleep, usually by the next day you'll feel a lot better. Because sleep is renewing, especially take a shower into the day if you had a bad one. Water is very cleansing. It washes out your aura, in addition to, bacteria and whatever the heck you got on you. But, wash yourself and go to sleep and you'll feel better. But this is something I was actually reading late into the night last night. Because I was doing some, like, emotional work and some, like, crying. And it's by Joel Osteen.
I love Joel.
And
Texas boy.
Yeah, I've been to his mega church once. And it is a church, but honestly, he's very motivational and inspirational.
Yeah.
And this book is I Declare 31 Promises to Speak Over Your Life. And so I grabbed this and just like reading, I will randomly open to a page and I'll be like, universe, what do you want to tell me? And I love to do that with books. Like whenever it just seems to be like life will tell you a message you need to see for whatever's going on in your life currently. If you just grab a motivational book and open it to whatever page. And so another book I really like, Secrets About Life Every Woman Should Know. And they should just take out woman and just be like everyone should know.
Oh, yeah.
By Barbara DeAngelis. I love how the word angel is actually in her name. She's an angel. But one thing that is I opened up to her, and the thing that can apply to everybody is, as you think, so you are. Your mind can cause you great suffering or great contentment. It can imprison you or free you. An uncontrolled mind can turn a neutral moment into a painful moment. So it's like what's going on in your mind is creating your reality. And you know what? Yes, we're all human. Sometimes things happen in our external reality with our family or our significant other, someone we love, can just really throw you off kilter. And, having a higher awareness, higher consciousness, having tools at your fingertips to grab onto, to, basically, it's like when you get to the end of the rope tie a knot and hang on.
Yeah.
These tools can help with that, right?
Yeah. That's so funny. I had a own personal story like going on the last 2 days. I had to like get into SAG so I could do a job tomorrow, and it's been like tooth and nails. And if I didn't like have something to keep me going, my agents and my managers like, come on, you can do it. Just keep pushing. Here's another step. Just to keep doing. I honestly almost felt like giving up, but before I got here, I was running a little late. And so that's what happened the last 2 days. The perseverance, and if you need something, you can always. I mean, everyone has a PDA, so all you got to do is go into Google and put in motivational quote, and you can find something that applies to you at any time, whether you're doing, good, bad, in the middle. It doesn't matter. You can find something that can help you out at that moment, that can get you over the hump, that can get you back on track,
Right.
So
and I wanted to throw in, I'm a huge advocate of prayer. I know we briefly mentioned that last time, but like, it doesn't matter what you believe in, like, out there. I mean, some people call it Allah and God and Jesus. Just pray to the universe, the great spirit, the all, the source, whatever. Pray out cry out to it, your needs, your desires, whatever situation. If you feel like it's way over your head, like you have no idea what to do, release it to the universe and just pray for the situation, pray for the person, send them good vibes, love, light, positivity, harmony. Like, even just chanting some basic words like that, love, light, peace, positivity, harmony, like, it will raise your vibration and recrank your brain, reprogram it to feeling better. That's what I wanted to say. Like, and I have a random confession. I've never actually told this to anyone except recently I've been trying to be more honest about open up, because I feel like, you have a major story, right? I have a story. I just haven't had the balls to come out with it. And my story is still kind of unraveling and behind the scenes. And so it's like, I'm not really ready to share all of it, but I will say there, I had actually been pretty suicidal back a couple years ago, and there was some really hard times. Like, I felt like I was just on that cusp of giving up. And, whew.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Let the waves flow.
Yeah.
But, I want to interject. It's a testament that you're still here and that you're able to talk about it, because a lot of people, they find that, one of my good friends, she went through a situation similar to what I went through as a kid, and she's like, I can never speak and talk about it like you do. I was like, well, you know what? If you actually do, you're gonna find it very therapeutical. It's gonna be some therapy for you. It's not always for everybody else. It's for yourself. Maybe it's active therapy that when you speak it out, you can get it out, and once you finally get it out, and if you see the look on other people's face and how it affects people, you can see that, well, you know what? I went through that for a reason, and I'm here to tell my story so that maybe somebody else in that situation can hear it and be like, oh, well, she made it or he made it, I can do it too.
Exactly. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because, like, as soon as you told me what you told me, I was like, you got to come on here. And I love how the universe works out with things. Like, I mean, I literally just met you, like, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, or you say 3 weeks, but I think it was more recent. But, like, I just knew, I was like, okay, this is perfect, because I was going to have someone else. It didn't work out. And the cool thing is, this is an empowerment deck that I have. It's not religious at all, but it's incredibly uplifting. It's called Magical Times Empowerment Cards. And I love to read these to random clients. Like, even if they're not expecting it, I'll just bust this deck out and be like, I'm going to, draw a card. It's just to make you feel good about life and yourself and empower your soul. And so, like, obviously I had just had a little emotional moment there. So I busted out a card, and it said confidence. This is what I just pulled out of the deck. It says, have confidence, be bold, rise up, and stand tall. Feel the fire in your soul.
There you go. So it's telling you to unleash the beast. Tell your story.
So it says, today I will connect with my inner power and be bold. I will rise up and know my worth. I banish all uncertainty and remember with pride my accomplishments. I will let no one diminish me. I embrace the strong, beautiful presence that I am and will go forth with courage. Isn't that nice?
That's very nice.
I brought my little angel here. It says, "Go confidently toward the direction of your dreams." I got this at a dollar store. Isn't that cool? I went to the dollar store to get like a gift bag, and I'm like, hey, they have angels. I was like, I gotta get some angels. And they have these cool little quotes. So I bought one of each that they had. They have like uplifting motivational messages on them. So I
need to go to that dollar store.
Yeah.
Where's that located?
Unfortunately, it's in San Antonio, Texas.
Ah, okay.
You know
we need something
weird?
in LA like that.
You know what? LA doesn't have much angel stuff. Like, what the heck is, there's...
We're in the city of angels, too, right?
Seriously.
It's like a contradiction.
I mean, they have a few angel statues randomly if you can find them, but there's hardly angel stuff at stores. Even at Christmas, I was searching high and low for angel ornaments. I went to 3 stores. I could not find angel ornaments. I was like, what is wrong with this place? But okay, one last thing I wanted to touch to. Do you know how much time we have? I have no idea. But 10 minutes? Oh, good. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so
nice.
A movie I wanted to share with, The Bucket List. It stars Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman. So both of these guys find out they're dying. One is rich and owns the hospital he's at, and the other one is, not, and he's just another number at the hospital. He's treated like, oh, you're not that important. But the guy who's rich and owns the hospital, he's like catered to and all this stuff, but they end up forming a bond because they're forced to share a room. Anyway, it's a really cool movie to watch because it just kind of makes you think about life and death and things to accomplish before you die. Mm-hmm. And one thing that stood out, 2 different things that stood out to me in the movie, was there's this moment where the owner of the hospital, which is Jack Nicholson, he's sitting in this boardroom, and they're all arguing about money and statistics and all this BS. And he's sitting there, like, on his last legs dying, and he's sitting in this meeting. And the look on his face, he's just like, what does this really matter anymore? And it's like, I had my diary in front of me at that minute. And I was like, it's like just that moment when you realize all the talk and BS about money is just a bunch of BS.
That's what
it's
it
like
is.
People focus so much on that, and then they lose track of what really matters and appreciating the things that you can be grateful for. You know what I'm saying?
That's so funny. I wrote like a Facebook status message, whatever you want to call it, like a couple days ago, talking about my passions. And then it was like acting and fitness and martial arts and speaking. And then I went on to say, hey, you know what? All that stuff is cool, but it doesn't really matter because if I'm not helping other people and I'm not like giving back, all those things I won't be blessed. And I won't have like fruition, and it won't be fertile in order for me to keep doing these things that I enjoy doing, that I love to do, that are my passion. So I realized the more people that I can help and do some type of helping hand, motivational something to them, I get back tenfold. Right. So like the money and the material things, all the stuff is minuscule compared to like people's souls and people feeling good about themselves, and everybody coming together, just kind of like living life and having great times together. I mean, I'm a big family man, so anytime people like went to Coachella this weekend, I went home. That's just how I like differentiate myself, like what makes me feel good and things that I like to do and what makes me motivated in life.
Right. When you help others and serve others, it really adds a lot to your own life, and it makes you feel good and happy. And like, I mean, a lot of people can relate. Like, let's say, they're out strolling around and you see someone who needs help with something and you jump on that opportunity to help them. You smile. You feel good and happy. Yeah. Like, hey, I helped somebody who needed it at that very moment. Mm-hmm. And that's what I always say, like, help others. Look for opportunities to help others. Like, even if it's something so small, you might not know that it can mean something so big to them.
I think also going back to the bucket list, one thing that I did take from that is like, if the reason why those 2 gentlemen were doing the things they wanted to, because of course, like Jack Nicholson.
So you've seen it?
Yeah, Jack Nicholson. Good. He was motivated by money, right. And then on the other end, Morgan Freeman wasn't motivated by money, but he still let money kind of like steer their lives. And then once they started figuring out, hey, you know what? There's things that I want to do in my life that that I'm passionate about, and I want to do them, and I need to forget about trying to make the next $10 million and just live life. And
well,
what do I have?
Balance.
yeah, you got to find balance. And
You
whatever
know,
I have, it's enough.
I mean, obviously, we're all in this realm together, and money is a huge, huge thing that, is over everybody's head all the time. Everybody talks about it pretty much every day. But it is about finding balance with the money matters, material matters, but spirit and family. You have to make sure that you're in your heart, you're content and grateful. Because, how many rich people out there are just on that treadmill and they have plenty of abundance and money, but they hoard it, and they're also working their ass off, zillion hours a week to make sure they continue to have more money and abundance. But do they really have time to enjoy it? Some do, but others.
I think for the most part, there's a lot that don't. I mean, one of the things that Brothers by Choice does, we put on mentorship programs for organizations, schools, community organizations, stuff like that. And we mentor, we go through a 12-week program where we do different topics. And some of the topics, some of the students that we have or come from families who have a lot of money, but their parents are working all the time. So they're considered at risk because they don't get that type of parental guidance and love and stuff like that. So
they could get in just as much trouble being a
just
rich
as
kid.
much
Drugs, heroin,
even
cocaine,
more
whatever.
because they have more access to it.
Right. Yeah. And I've heard of this actually. I went to this millionaire's mansion in Malibu, I think it was, and both of his sons, rich kids, but they got into heroin and died young, like 20s. Both of his sons, his heirs, both died young because they got into drugs. I don't know the whole full story of it, but it was definitely sad. Yeah. One other thing I wanted to point out about the bucket list movie, a quote that stood out to me was, "Have you found your joy in life?" And I was really thinking deeply about that quote for myself. And when I think back on my own personal life, it's like, yeah, I feel like I recognize joy in flashes of memory. It's not like all the way through bliss, but I definitely have flashes of joy in my life. But I think one thing that I've really found with a lot of profoundness is gratitude. Like really recognizing how much to be grateful for each day. This is going to be really kind of like funny to bring up, but last night I was kind of pissed because I was actually sleeping kind of well at 1 minute, and I was like, man, I got to pee. And I'm like, I have got to get up and go pee. And it's like it messed up my sleep, but then I had this bizarre moment of I was so grateful that I can walk. I don't have machines that are attached to my bladder. Like I can take myself, I don't have to wear a diaper. It's so weird to have a totally different way of thinking about things, to be grateful for almost damn near everything. Even I was having a really bad day yesterday, so it's like I was trying to focus on things to be grateful for. Like I was going to the gym and I was like, I barely have any energy to try to even go to the gym right now. But I'm like, I can run, I can see, I can drive. Thank God I have a car, I can afford it, I can put gas in it. Like there were so many things that if you just shift thinking about negativity and all the shit that's going wrong in your life and think to positivity, like, oh, at least I have this and this and this, and I can be grateful for this and this. That's just a shift you can make in your perception to raise your vibration and get through a day and have perseverance towards success.
I agree.
This show, I have used more cuss words than I've ever used, so I apologize. 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes of my last show of my season. So, any last words, Devon? Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I think I want to say if there's something out there that you want to do and you don't know how to do it, look it up, figure it out. There's a way, as long as you're willing to do the necessary process that it takes.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, and I'm not saying that it's going to happen in the time that you might want it, but if you want something bad enough, you can get it.
Take baby steps.
Take baby steps,
At least it's better than doing nothing. If you're
absolutely.
taking baby steps, you're getting a lot farther than someone who's not trying at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Well, thank you for watching the Street Angel Show here. I hope if I have another season, you'll come back and watch some more. If you want to sponsor it, shoot me some messages on, let's see, I have social media here, if you can even read that. Yeah, I have a zillion ways to contact me, so no excuse if you can't find me. thank you guys in the back for your awesomeness, and thank you T Radio V for having me in your Hollywood studio. And kisses to all. Thank you for the support. Take care. Bye.
Holding up your side for the world to see.
You are watching T Radio V, Radio and TV.